Welcome to the RD2BE podcast. Each week we sit down with a different registered dietitian nutritionist to showcase the diversity of opportunity in the dietetics profession. Our aim is to dismantle the notion that there is a traditional career path. I'm Carl Barnes, the registered dietitian behind the scenes of RD2BE.
And I am Jenna Warnock, the RD2BE host. Our RD guests share their stories, career paths, and advice to help students like us succeed in the profession. Welcome back to another week of the RD2BE podcast. We're super excited to feature yet another awesome dietetic internship program. And so this week we're sitting down with Dunn. She's the program manager for Wellness Workdays Distance Dietetic Internship. And we're just super excited to learn about her awesome program and all the wonderful things that they offer. So thank you so much for taking time with us, Caitlin.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Happy to be here.
For sure. And so kind of to set the stage with where your role is within Wellness Workdays, can you tell us how you got your current position as the program manager?
Yeah, sure. I joined the team a little over 3 years ago now, and I came from a nutrition counseling background. Before this job, I was the program manager for a cardiac laboratory, and I developed and ran their lifestyle program. And so after counseling for years and years, I was looking for something different, and Wellness Workdays is actually located pretty close to my house. So I've always known that it existed, but never really knew what the deal was there. And so a job opportunity popped up for a program manager, and I applied and knew immediately that I wanted this role. It was the perfect fit. So I got to continue to run different initiatives to help make the program the best that it can be. And even though I wasn't counseling patients anymore, I still have a very large role in helping sort of, nurture interns through the program. A distance dietetic internship or any dietetic internship can be stressful at times. And so we really have worked hard to create a supportive environment for our interns. And I feel very lucky that I get to work with people in that capacity still.
Yeah, for sure. And I love how just even with hearing you talk about how you got to the role, you definitely have your passion and like your best foot forward with the current position you have and like the love that you have for the students and just helping them, which is really great. And getting into the kind of, the nitty gritty stuff that the listeners kind of like, if they're interested in your program to learn more about, you offer a lot of really interesting track programs given that you're a distance internship. And so can you describe the different tracks your program offers?
Yes, sure. So before I got there, the internship was already affiliated with Merrimack College and Simmons University for Masters of Science degrees. There's a variety that we offer. So those two have sort of been with the program since the beginning. And then with the graduate degree requirement looming, we knew that we wanted to offer a greater variety of degrees just based on the people that we get for interns. We have people coming from different degrees that have worked in different fields for many years and then have decided to become dietitians. And so we wanted to capture the variety of interns that we get through our graduate programs. So we partnered with Johnson & Wales University to offer an MBA degree. So if people are interested in running, their own business or a private practice, that's a really great option for them. And then most recently, we've partnered with Framingham State University for their Masters of Education with a focus on nutrition education. So that's a really great program for people who are interested in educating either in the school system or just the general public. All dietitians educate. That's a large part of our job. And that's been really two great additions to our program. So there's really not a lack of options in the field of dietetics. There are so many different career paths that you can choose. And so we just wanted our graduate degrees to reflect all of those possibilities.
Yeah, and I think it's great how you guys honestly took advantage of that graduate degree requirement and you're like, okay, well, we're just going to open up the floodgates and let, the interns just pursue anything that they want to pursue. And just to, like clarify with the 2024 requirements, is your program specifically shifting to only having a master's combined, or will you also keep the standalone?
Yep. So we have the standalone. So it's sort of three options that we offer. We accept interns who already have a master's degree and only need the internship portion. We will take any intern who still needs a master's degree. They can apply to any of our affiliated programs, or if they're in an outside program, that's totally fine too. We just need to have proof that they're enrolled in a graduate program. So we welcome anybody with a DPD verification statement is really our only requirement.
Oh, awesome. And then kind of going into the track with where they would take a graduate program partnered with one of your universities, is the tuition like a flat rate for everyone, or is it in-state, out of state? How does the tuition work with that?
So our tuition is flat rate for everybody. So the internship alone, it's $12,000 tuition. And then depending on the schools, they'll pay the university tuition as well. The universities offer discounted rates for our interns. It depends on the school. Some of them are merit-based, so depending on the intern's GPA, but they're all offered a discounted tuition rate, which is really nice.
Yeah, and that definitely helps with, I mean, everyone knows that the barrier that the graduate program is offering, that it's really great that they were able to accept that discount and kind of help alleviate the, impending doom that a graduate degree cost has, for sure.
Yeah, we try to be really mindful of tuition rates and choosing programs that are more affordable. I just saw the other day online, we were looking into it, that the average graduate degree is $60,000 for a 2-year program, which is mind-blowing to me. So our tuitions are much, much lower than that. And I feel like we've been very mindful to choose programs that, one, will offer a reduced tuition for our students, and then two, just are, more on the reasonable side, because it's a massive barrier. We definitely understand that.
Yeah, and also just with the whole like vision of a distance internship is to eliminate that barrier of, they can just go wherever fits best financially, living with parents, finding a friend, things like that. And it's really great how the graduate component, you are aligning its visions with your program's visions, which is always, a great thing to see with programs.
Yeah, and they can all be completed fully online in an asynchronous format. So no one has to move anywhere to complete these degrees. They can stay wherever they are at home, move it around their work schedule, whatever they need to do to make it fit their lifestyle best.
Yeah, awesome. And then kind of shifting more into the different tracks where, you have the US accept interns that already have a grad degree and they're just doing the standalone, or the ones that, they can just do a grad degree completely unaffiliated. Do you recommend a specific type of graduate degree for interns to have coming in, or for one to pair with your program? Or, I mean, I've seen that you offer 3 different types. Is it the sky's the limit thing?
Yeah, I think it really depends on where they see themselves ending up as a dietitian. You know, it really is going to be dependent on what their interest is. I feel like if people are really unsure, maybe a degree in the nutrition field is beneficial just for help in terms of being prepared to take the RD exam right after the internship. But if someone knows that they want to run their own business or they want to start a private practice, an MBA is probably, the best choice for them. We often get emails like this where people will sort of tell us their interests and then say, what should I choose for a graduate degree? And so we're happy to talk with prospective interns and kind of weigh their options. But it's really going to be where they're feeling most drawn to, which is pretty cool. I've worked in a lot of different fields in nutrition, even in like the tech app development field. So even more of a tech degree I can see coming in handy if someone wants to work in that environment. Sky really is the limit, I think, on that.
Yeah, and it's great how you offer support where it's not like, oh, great, you're accepted, figure out what you want to do, you're on your own type thing. You guys definitely have that like conversation where it's like, okay, what are your interests and where it can like, where do you fit in the equation, which is really great. And kind of going into what you mentioned where like the sky's the limit with what realm of nutrition the students are interested in, you offer 3 super unique concentrations that the interns can get interested in, and it's sports nutrition and entrepreneurship, worksite wellness and health promotion, and as well as nutrition communicating and marketing, which I think those are all like super unique and definitely like really innovative and progressive concentrations, to be honest. And so like first off, like how does your program incorporate these concentrations into a distance program?
Yeah. So when Deborah, our program director, she's also the CEO of Wellness Workdays. So Wellness Workdays at its core is a worksite wellness company. That's how it started out. And then the internship developed through that. So our first concentration was worksite wellness and health promotion. And so from there, we tacked on the nutrition communications and marketing and the sports concentration. And so for people who are interested in worksite wellness or nutrition communications and marketing, they're able to intern with Wellness Workdays, the wellness side of the company. So they will develop lunch and learns for clients, recipe demos, anything that our wellness team is working on, they get to be involved in, down to designing a 6-month to a 1-year wellness program. So they get to work, directly with our wellness team. And then for the sports, nutrition, and entrepreneurship, we are affiliated with several sports teams across the country. And interns are actually able to apply to work directly with those sports teams if they want to. They don't have to, but they can apply directly on our supplemental application. And it's a really cool opportunity to work with professional and huge Division I collegiate teams if that's where they see their career path going. Another really neat thing about our concentrations is the length of time that interns are there. So they're 240 hours. A lot of concentrations in other programs are shorter than that. So they get 240 hours to really immerse themselves with these teams or with us at Wellness Workdays. And then if they wanted to, you can even spend more time with your concentration site if it fits the other competencies. So for the sports one, most of our interns that are with our affiliated teams, they're doing their 240-hour concentration, but also doing 180 hours food service. So in the kitchen, cooking meals for the athletes. And then sometimes 180 hours of community doing one-on-one nutrition counseling and tabling events and that sort of thing. So they can spend up to 15 weeks with a sports team. And it's a great way to immerse themselves in that environment and oftentimes end up with a job offer if an opening comes up while they're there. So it's a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, and and I'm glad that you did the math, because as you were chalking out the hours and stuff, I was like, okay, that, and then you were like over 15 weeks, and I was like, okay, good. It's and that's
It's a long
great.
time.
Yeah, and it's no surprise that they get a job offer, because especially if that they're committing so much time to those different spots and just showing their interests in those areas, which is really great. And with the concentrations, just for clarification, is the concentration emphasized purely in the rotations, or do you see those concentrations in the grad work?
So it can be reflected in the grad work if the intern chooses. So one example of that is a lot of times the interns who are interested in our sports concentration will choose Merrimack's exercise sports science master's degree because the two go hand in hand really well. But it's not a requirement that they do that. So if we had a sports intern that wanted to get an MBA, that's totally fine. When we were selecting the programs that we partner with, the graduate programs, we did make sure that the electives that are offered are in line with our concentration. So even the MBA program with Johnson & Wales, there's a sports nutrition elective that we suggest our interns take if they're in the sports concentration.
Awesome. Yeah. And then so this just a follow-up to the concentrations, does every intern come in choosing one of the concentrations, or are the concentrations optional?
They have to choose one.
I gotcha. Awesome. And then for securing those sites, given that it's distance and, so say that they know their concentration and everything, how far out in advance do students need to have their sites secured for the program?
Yeah, we have no deadline for securing sites. After an intern matches with us, so we don't require you to have your sites in order to apply. I know a lot of programs require that, so there's no requirement there. We obviously like to see that people are reaching out and making an effort, because that is one of I think the main benefits of a distance program is you get to design your own experience. But we totally understand that it's a difficult process and sometimes people don't know how to get started. So there's no deadline in terms of applying with your sites. In May, we ask for your first rotation because we have to get the affiliation agreement process started. And then the end of May, we ask for your full schedule as it exists at that point. If the intern doesn't have all of their sites, then their advisor jumps in and meets with them, usually once a week or once every other week, to start reaching out to preceptors together. We have a huge database of preceptors throughout the years. And so our advisors actually jump in and start calling their connections and emailing past preceptors, that sort of thing. So the intern is fully supported. Ideally, the rotations are secured early summer, but that's not always the case. Things happen, preceptors leave their jobs. Even if an intern has everything set up far in advance, you never know what's going to happen. So our advisors are there to support the interns and make sure that everyone's able to finish on time.
Yeah, and that's great how you, again, like, and we've seen this with the previous things that you've described, where you don't leave your interns out just like off the hook, because it definitely dismantles the stigma that a lot of distance internships, it's like, okay, cool, you sign up and you do everything yourself after that. It's like you guys definitely do help them with every step of the way, whether it's with securing sites, choosing the right graduate program for them. It's like really good that they have a lot of guidance under you guys. And given that you mentioned the timeline in terms of like, oh, by May and everything, so just to confirm, and especially with the graduate degrees, you guys only participate in spring match?
So we have in the past. I do think that this year we will do a fall match. That's just the way that we just had the application deadline last week. And it looks like, based on the number of applications that we've gotten, we will be able to participate in a fall match. So I think that we will do that this year. But traditionally, we've taken 113 every spring.
Yeah, and like, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that's crazy. Like, just the number of 113 interns every spring match. And so,
Yes.
Given that you guys, I mean, whether, you've accepted a certain number this semester or anything like that, you guys still manage a large chunk of interns. And so, I've heard some internships where it's like, oh, we accept 2, or, we accept 12.
Right, sure.
And things. Yeah. And so for you guys, how does your team manage and organize such a large group of interns?
Yeah, so there's 6 of us all together on our team. So Deborah is the program director and the CEO of Wellness Workdays. So she oversees the large vision of the program. And then myself as program manager, and we have 3 advisors on the team. So our job is to break down those 113 interns into smaller cohorts of usually around 30, 25 to 35, maybe it's the range of our cohorts. So that's the group of interns that you'll be with. That's the ones that you meet with, to check in with each other, to chat. So it does feel like a smaller, group in that way. And then we have a full-time contracts and administrative manager, and her job is to manage all of the affiliation agreements that need to be signed. So once an intern has a site, she takes over from there, and she's in contact with the preceptor or HR or their lawyers, whoever it is, and works with them to manage the affiliation agreement. So the intern doesn't have to take part in any of that, which is nice. And it's truly, honestly, the best group of people that I've ever worked with. We all love what we do, and we have a lot of fun with it. We love working with the interns, and we really also love just brainstorming ways to make this program really special and continue to make it be innovative and unique and supportive. We really do enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think it's like, I mean, and just with how you're talking about it, and how, you're just showing how much all of the faculty members really love, and the advisors love what they do with the program, it makes perfect sense that you guys want to work to improve and be the best for the students, because you're working for the students. And I think that's a really great thing that you guys do. And so, yeah, like, you've talked about a really, like, a lot of super great, unique things about the program. And so, kind of going into, specific things that students like, is there a common thing that students have a favorite thing regarding the program?
I think the flexibility of our program definitely comes up the most in our exit interviews that we do as they're leaving the internship. Also on our social media, we'll do alumni and intern highlights or spotlights. And I always laugh because they almost always mention the flexibility piece. It's like the same every time we post them, is they mention something about our flexibility. We recognize that not everybody has the ability to solely focus on a dietetic internship for 8 months or whatever the time may be. And so we work really hard to work one-on-one with our interns to figure out, what's your schedule look like and how can we fit the internship hours there. The minimum hour requirement that we have for the internship portion is 16 hours a week. So if they need to take more time to focus on schoolwork, that's totally fine. If they are working or they have kids, a lot of our applicants work part-time or are raising a family and have to figure out how they can juggle, all of these things. It's a lot. And so we have no problem being flexible. If you can find a preceptor who works Saturdays and Sundays and that's what you need, you're welcome to work with that preceptor. We don't have really strict limits on, when you have to be on site and for how long. It's whatever works best for your schedule. Really proud that we're able to offer that.
Yeah, and I think it all honestly does highlight that you don't have to work you don't have to work 40 hours a week, and you can still be doing your current job or making money, supporting your family, whatever your situation is with you guys, which I think is really great. And because as you were talking, it did make me think, okay, like what's the timeline, especially with the graduate degree? How do they balance that? I was thinking of asking that question, but then you were like, oh, like the minimum requirement is 16 hours, and then you literally answered it just with however much time they need, they're able to have, which is really great.
Yeah, so for the graduate degree, it's usually a 2-year program from start to finish. You can finish before then, but that's the allotted time frame, so it's plenty of time. And then from there, Ascend allows you to tack on 150%. So really, if needed, our graduate interns can be in our program for 3 years if they wanted to. Not many people want to be here that long. I want to move on, but if needed, that's we're allowed to do that.
And definitely with kind of like your vision and like your mission for the program is flexibility. And so it's really good how you guys just have that openness of if the intern needs it, it's there, and they really do have everything that they need, which is really great. And so you kind of did paint the picture of like all the faculty that help support your students, and you've already really mentioned how all of you guys really love what you do. But if you could really put it into like words specifically, do you or the faculty have like a favorite part of the program specifically?
Yeah, I was thinking about that question, and it's a hard one to answer. I think probably number one is working directly with the interns. We all really, really love. It's a very satisfying feeling to get to help these new generations of RDs go through this process. I think we all really love being there for them. We're their biggest cheerleaders for sure, constantly encouraging them, and also just making sure that they understand that if they're struggling in any way, struggling just with mental health or balancing everything, that we're a safe place to come to. They don't have to feel like, oh, my program's going to be so upset with me because I'm late passing in assignments. As long as they're communicating openly with us about what they're struggling with, we're so happy to help however we can. And so that those relationships that we build with interns is definitely really, really satisfying and a lot of fun most of the time. And I think our other favorite thing really is just the brainstorm sessions that we have at the end of each. Usually in April, when a lot of our interns are wrapping up, we'll have these brainstorming sessions where we sort of have like a vision board of what we want to accomplish in the coming year, and we start figuring out how we're going to do that. So exam tutoring is our new one right now. So how do we develop a program that interns can participate in group tutoring sessions that will be led by us, that we all have different sort of backgrounds and different domains of the RD exam. And so piecing together how we can develop that for the coming year is our next exciting mission that we're working on currently. But being able to design those things year after year has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and like tailoring all of you guys' strengths to like putting the best thing for the interns for each year. That definitely, like, even just with me, like thinking in general, like especially if you love something so much and like putting everything into it and seeing how it turns out every year, and then going back every year to improve. It's like definitely I can see, especially if you love it so much, like how exciting it can be to just do that for all the interns, especially with you being able to form connections with over 100 like every year. That's a really fulfilling thing to do for sure. And so like we've really covered just a lot of great things about your program regarding the concentrations, the different types of graduate degrees that you offer, and just really like flexibility that you offer for the interns. And so say that someone's listening to this and they're like, oh my gosh, the next match cycle, I want to apply for them like as soon as possible. And so what advice would you give to students just applying for internships in the future or applying to your internship in the future?
Yeah, so I would say one would be for a distance internship is take advantage of that opportunity to design your own program. It's a really cool opportunity. My internship, I was just stuck wherever I was told to go with no regard for my interests or anything. It's a really cool opportunity to be able to sit down and think, what am I interested in and how can I design my rotations around that? So, if you're interested in, like I mentioned before, working with athletes, there's a good chance you can spend most of your internship in that sort of a setting. Same thing, we have a lot of interns interested in working in eating disorder clinics. If there's a food service department in that facility, there's a chance that you can do your food service there as well. So it's a really great opportunity if you do know what you're interested in. And then if you don't know what you're interested in, it's another great opportunity because you can choose a huge variety of places to do your rotations and then sort of get a feel of what you're looking for. So that would be my biggest piece of advice, is to take full advantage of that opportunity. And then don't doubt your network. I think sometimes people coming out of school are like, well, I don't know anybody. I'm new. I have never worked in the field. I don't have connections. But you've had 4 years of professors that are in the field of nutrition. So to be able to feel comfortable to reach out to them and say, hey, who do you know? Is don't doubt those connections that you've already formed, because I bet you have a lot more than you think.
Yeah, and I think those are really awesome just words to end on. We're really just saying the world's your oyster and you make the most of the situation of it being distance. So yeah, just thank you so much, Caitlin, for talking about Wellness Workdays, awesome dietetic internship and the great flexible opportunities you have for the students. And I know that they're going to learn a lot from you and your program. So yeah, just thank you so much for taking time to talk about it.
Thank you so much, Jenna. This was a lot of fun.